John sent me an email and said, would you do a presentation kind of about the article that you wrote? And I said, cool, okay, that'd be great. But the article that I wrote was mostly about this big keyboard, this big Technics keyboard, and the variety of functions that I added and used on the end. And we went to try to find one. I went to try to find one in Chicago, but Technics pulled it. So the article that I wrote was about, in fact, an obsolete piece of equipment, which is pretty ironic, but that's what happens with old equipment. But that doesn't mean it's because Techniques pulled doesn't mean I'm going to take that thing out of the studio and burn it. I'm going to use it until it dies. Exactly. Now, one of the things really that I don't want to do is give you guys an information overload. Because, and actually one of the points in the article, outside of the Handsonic thing, is that there are ways of using sounds, synthetic sounds, that don't cost $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. And one of them is this funny little funky microcube. And most of you are familiar with sound effects, but you can come and look at this microcube, and it has all of the standard effects that you would find, and that you could get used to and learn how to use. So any synthesizer program that you were using, you would then kind of have an understanding of what that thing was and how it changed. And the thing is that these very simple settings on this instrument, which cost, that's not special for about $29, might teach you a little bit about how to use these effects. And you can plug a harmonic, a microphone or a harmonic into it, and you can get some pretty wild sounds. Is that you can invest in using the kind of technology things that you won't need a big an expensive computer for, or the money for the computer programs. However, after seeing you guys do what you were doing on the computer, I think I'm about to sell this one just so I can kind of invest in this stuff. So anyway, that's enough of this microphone. The Handsonic was Roland, years ago. Roland came up with an idea to make a practice pad, a way of teaching drummers, where a rhythm, the pad would give you a rhythm. The drummer would do the rhythm. If they did it perfectly, a little light would come on. If they didn't, you did it again, you did it again, and you did it again until it was perfect. And it was a big seller. And it was just this kind of like rubber pad like this. Then they went ahead and did actually a kit, a synthetic drum kit with 10 square pads. And then, partially because of the demand, people asking, they invented this, which is the Roland Handsonic 15. The reason it's called the 15 is because there are 15 places you can strike it and different sounds will appear. This sound isn't very normal. Okay. And there are different sounds that will appear in each place. And the 5 here on the bottom are 5. patch tells you or lets you know what's on what space, what sound is on what space, which is something that you can change. You can put or assign how you can do sounds. Now, the reason that I first love this instrument is because it gave me a huge variety of sounds and cameras to work with. And what I'd really like to do now is for you to look at the list of sounds. Why don't you pick one that you've never heard of?
Kenny Disco.
Kenny Disco?
No, a instrument.
That's a little funny.
Yeah, not a blues. Kenny Disco will get to. But an instrument, I mean, some of you may know.
Some of the Centaurs.
A Centaur?
Yeah, 155 through 162.
So it's actually a string instrument. I mean, you hear from the hammer what it is. You hear from the hammer what it is. So let's pick another sound. What is it?
That's a loop.
That's a loop. Pick an instrument. Is this an instrument? Metal beat. Yeah. Oh, no, it's over here. 78 metal beat. Oh, and that's on there's two. And is that on the 15 or the 10? There are two parts to your little list. It's on the 10. Okay, so it's number 78. Metal beat. 377. Anyway, the difference between these two synthesizers is this one was successful to a certain point, but they thought maybe it was a little bit too expensive. So they simplified it and came out with this new one, the Handsonic 10, which instead of having that's metal beat.
And what are the price points?
Right. This one it lists for $12.99. You can get it for about $890. So maybe it's pretty expensive. Or you can call the Roland representative in your area and say, "Hi, I need one for my school and blah blah blah." Maybe you get a school discount. I called them up and said, "Hey, look, I'm doing a demonstration, actually using one of these instruments, and I got this one for $650."
Stereo outs.
Stereo outs. The number of features. This one is really a composition tool. It has so many different things that you can use for changing the sounds.
It's got MIDI and out.
It's got MIDI in and out. This is a great and audio. And this is a great resource because, like you were talking about yesterday about triggering the computers. These triggers on these pads have placement triggers for different sounds. But there are placement differences that happen on these two lower pads. There are temporal differences that you program in. See, I never used them. And the reason I never used them is because I outside of cooking in each studio, so I never really used the cooking. But I use a lot of the different sounds, and it's really, which sound have you never heard?
Wait, let me just say something. So about the djembe, if you hear the edge of the rim of it, it's just like on the edge of the djembe. It's the same thing.
It's like so the placement of this actually corresponds. And like I said in the article that I wrote, the idea of this is it's for a person who's used to playing hand drums, this is their trigger, their synthesizer trigger, and that's what this is made for. So it has the sensitivities that will you might have to program into a keyboard trigger, you know, and a controller, right.
It has that touch too.
It has
There are two composers that were responsible for
Right.
developing the DB, which is like a theremin. Aikuo Takahashi, I don't know that. Takahashi. And then F and Cora were responsible for developing these
The
loops.
sounds and loops on this one, Aikuo developed all of the sounds and loops.
What I have done is I had a PDA where you could add a touchpad on it, and I would match the numbers up from the touchpad onto this, and they were.
And what I do is on the technique synthesizer has a touchpad. I just get the touchpad rhythm from
Sorry,
there.
say that again.
You tap, it's a metronome.
Oh,
It's a tap metronome. And so
Okay.
you go point, 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 point.
And it says 152.
And then you go, oh, it's 94. So then you match it up to your side 94.
Right. And I do the same thing on the techniques, which has a touchpad. And on the screen of the techniques, it reveals.
But now my PDA has
The P. Well, anyway, that's a good thing you suggested to me. We tried to get a roller representative here because he could describe in probably a short time a lot of stuff that none of us have even tried on these machines. I've had this one since about when I wrote the article, in
How
February.
much is that?
This was $6.99 new. But my guess is you probably did, if you talk to Roy, if you call him, you roll you probably could get in. And then I don't know about school discount. I just bought these for
You can
myself.
find it a lot on eBay.
Yes, absolutely. And
Varying conditions.
right, very conditions and they go really quickly. I mean, but there's always 10 of them being sold. So if you want to just buy one for yourself, but I recommend you buy one new. If you've got a school budget, actually use it. The nice thing about the preset rhythms is that in class you can actually kind of go through and learn what a lot of them are. And each of the preset rhythms has a different mix or pad set that have different instruments on it. So you can also, instead of going and individually playing each instrument to figure out what sound you like, you can try one preset rhythm one day. It tells you, every time you hit it, it tells you what instrument you are playing. So,
No, you can play the pads, whatever pads you want to any preset from the programming pads and play it to whatever preset.
and the preset is just actually a rhythmic configuration of what the different pads are.
But they don't set the pads to that.
To the sequence. The sequence is independent of the.
No, but the sequence was made with one particular setting, which is what comes up when you.
How many user locations do you have for the YouTube program?
100.7.
I do that 127, 120, I think so.
What can you store?
Yes.
Yes, you can. You store configurations, sequences. I've been using this since 2000, and I have 76% left in the memory.
So yeah, it's pretty good. That's one of the things that's happening. You can alter any of the sounds with
Not
effect.
mine, this.
You can alter any of the sounds with an incredible array of effects. All of the effects that I just kind of demonstrated here are on here in a much wider array of variability. And some effects that aren't in here are also in here. There's a list of them in the back of each one. Now on this one, there are also these features. This
Now, the way I use the Handsonic, I play it live pretty much. So like, what's really cool about this for being a professional is you can use the technique that you use for the actual instrument. For example, top. That's not real clear. Anyway, on the top of the bottom is and you can have this playing turn it out. But as on top of the left instrument on the right, you slide your screw for a pitch change. Yeah. Mix it out there. Yeah, that's almost all.
But that is the remarkable thing is this is truly a professional synthesizer.
Anyway, you can also program the melodies.
The pitches, you can alter the pitches. So that
I can show you this. So what we did, you can go in and program your own sounds.
And if you look at Jamal's actually the whole you see that he's really been using this a lot. There are naked spots that work.
I can learn to adjust my technique to play this instrument. So, and then, but when it comes like when you program it yourself, you put the sound you want on the pad, you hold it out.
The other thing is that it really was made for drummers, so that it can also be played with sticks. And why don't you play?
Oh, no, they tell you
There's two conversations going on.
Well,
Yeah, I should not play this with sticks.
I was not told that, and here's the result.
The Handsonic is really a finger instrument, so I would never play.
But I believe the Handsonic 10 is not. It's really developed for more for playing, for drummers playing, and there's maybe 6 or 8 times as many kit arrangements on this instrument.
Can I just make one
Yeah.
comment? In my very extremely limited experience with playing this instrument, like one time for an extended amount, my fingers had such fatigue, so that's a very good point. It really takes a subtle and light touch to do a lot with this instrument. So if you watch people who play a long time, who are used to using the technique, you really don't need to overplay. So if you're using that after touch thing, like I was really kind of digging into that, and my fingers were killing me.
It's very sensitive, so you barely have to touch it. I mean,
What I mentioned in my article was that I had shoulder surgery, and then I bought this instrument to help me recover from shoulder surgery. Because you can set the level, touch level that triggers it, and so I played it. I played it. So it's also, that's a pretty neat thing for us people who might be people.
I mean, I play
technique, I mean, I hadn't changed my technique at all. The technique I have. And as far as fatigue, I mean, I can play for an hour. You know, it's so delicate that, you know, if you're a pianist, I mean, you can play piano for an hour, right? So I'm a percussionist playing for an hour, does not bother me, you know. But you have to, you can be very delicate with it. I mean, like you were
You
saying.
can play it really almost using just your fingers and each finger.
But if you're a utility player, then you would adjust the sensitivity to hit it as hard as you want to.
You can't play with sticks, but you can play my own sticks. Which I think is really wonderful for drummers. Also.
So I'm just doing that. Just a regular pad drum set.
All my whole career, I've been an advocate for putting these, like we see in this studio, like we see in this studio, out in studios, and then safeguarding them by making sure that the people who use the studios lock it when they're done for the day. My setup at TWU is about twice as many instruments as this. But for people who say, well, no, you couldn't do that in my city, which this is something that you could easily walk into instead of, plug into a studio, instead of having to try to set up a 1,000 drums. And that, I think, this might make a difference, and it's especially if you're running from one place to another. Then all you need are studios that have sound systems or a place where you can plug in.
That's one of the coolest things about this is you can carry this in a small power speaker and sit down, plug it in, and start playing. I mean, because I've got other stuff like like a drum cat and things like that. But then you've got to plug in a module. You've got to do this is ready to go. You just plug it in, plug it in the speaker. And I do that all the time. We have 10 minutes between classes.
Right.
So I don't have time to set up a bunch of stuff, and I'll carry this over my shoulder, a powered speaker. And of course, I always have real drums as well. They're all at least doing that. But let's set this down. I'm ready to go.
I can also input, I have a MIDI controller as well too, so I can set up a drum on it, and you can actually put it into this to play.
And this can be controlled by keyboards. And it also has traditional orchestral type sounds on it as well that you can use tone and pitch it anyway. So it's really
And you can use a keyboard to play this.
Yes, that's right. You can use any trigger. And you can use a drum synthesizer if you want to. And that's what's happened with and I mentioned this in my article as well, is the kind of the future in terms of synthesizers as instruments is that they're making now synthesizers that are a trumpet player, the trumpet technique. And, the same thing with trigger. It's a trumpet synthesizer, saxophone synthesizer, where the armature actually alters the sound. And so, they're making a wide variety of synthesizers for all the different instrument players. Same thing with the violin. And this is the one that really is now the one for hand percussion, for percussion playing.
So Jamal, how do you use this in a class?
I use it pretty much every class.
And do you find you use it towards the end of the class?
I use it the entire class. I alternate with this. I have a drum, I have a bass drum. When I have time to set up the drums, they're in the closet. So I run those out, plug this in, I'm ready to go. So this is always used with other. Sometimes, if I don't have time, I'll just take this one. That's all I use for the whole class.
And on the other hand, I use it because I have other percussion instruments and other instruments, guitars and keyboards that I want to play. I use it a quarter of the time, maybe. And especially when I want sounds or timbres that I don't, usually, like I said, I won't play the Kungas in here because I've got Kungas and I'd rather play the Kungas.
This, I use it as a supplemental. So I have two MIDI keyboards, and then I have this on the third rack. So it's like I play the pipeline. I've got two manuals, and this is part of it. And also a computer.
And you use this.
But I have it. Yeah, I use it for a lot of the time. But I'll also use it for, like what Jamal was talking about before, the kind of setting up a sort of a meditative thing in the beginning or at the end of the class. It's sort of
And
set.
John, when you last time you used it?
I use it every day, almost.
I usually, nowadays, I'm playing with one backup musician or another. I mean, I use it at least once or twice every single class for an actual exercise. But as far as every now and then, I'll use it specifically for whatever the combination is at the end. I'm trying right now. My experience and what I'm trying to do isn't so much I'm playing things out of that's for the rest of the class. It's really just trying to make a variety of what I'm trying to do. I want to understand. Okay, I'll play drums. Okay, I'll go over here. Hey, I'll play my melodic and things like that. Just because I'm still in the process of really finding out my methods, what I try to use, and what I try to do. So I can't give a good answer as far as how many times I need to
That
use
is an
it.
idea though.
Yeah.
You find that when you go back to the acoustic instruments, the dancers, what am I trying to say?
Is there?
They always say, they want to hear this now instead of.
No, it depends on, for me, it depends on the movement.
It's just another color in your palette, you know? And I think you play a whole class like this, it sounds great. I mean, but I prefer to have acoustic instruments too. But, yeah, I don't think the students necessarily prefer one over the other. Because I'm basically playing the same rhythms, whatever instrument I pick up, it's kind of, it's neat, you know? So,
About the amplified sound versus.
Right.
well, you know what's really important, I think, is to have your speakers right next to, like, just a minute ago, when I tried to demo this thing, it was like, wow, what's going on? Because we got speakers up there. So I have a power speaker right here. So the sound, I think that's really important. If you've got speakers coming out of the walls and you're playing, it's like, what is that? But I have my drum kit, I have my doombag, I have a flute, I have everything. So all the sound is coming from me, you know?
And from
I think that's really important.
We also do say that.
And I play in a room that's almost twice as big, it's half the size of it. It's huge. I mean, it's just a big room you try to. And there are times when I'll use the monitors in the studio, just because it depends on how big the room is. And if they're going across the floor, it's 85 feet, you know, from one end to the other. And that's why I play so loud sometimes, because the room is just tight. So that I'll supplement with the speakers.
Sometimes when I do something, the students ask me, when I do something and I include some sound, that's on one of the pads. They're like, oh, what you know? Yeah, it's, oh man, that's how we get it. That looks really funny, and you know. It's not.
When you're talking about sound, and I think you said the show, you said that you kind of make sense as a machine, right?
Yes, it can.
So, like, how much minor sounds?
That's right.
It's not just create.
I have some presets.
And in fact, it will play the rhythm, it will play all of the preset rhythms with your sounds.
You can't put sounds in the
No.
you can only use the sounds that are trigger sounds. You
That's
can't put
right.
sounds.
Oh, no, that's right. You
So,
can't find out.
that's like,
No,
It's not the same with their.
it's not a sample.
No, it's
You
not a
can
sample.
trigger sounds as we tried.
Oh,
Yeah, you can have to use the MIDI to trigger a sound. There's no way to use sound.
Right.
No, it's not the same.
It's not everything sounds good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like sounds, trigger sounds, all sounds. And you can use them to trigger sounds. So if you have a bang,
okay, so how would you would like bring in a hard drive and connect it to that, or you have to actually have a separate?
no, you can use MIDI, you use the MIDI.
Yeah, you can use it as a MIDI controller, but also it does have input for external pads. And what I use a lot when I have time, usually I don't have time to do it a lot myself, but I use the pedals, which are really cool. Because then you can program the pedals for it to do all kinds of things. JBL 1080 loudspeaker 10-inch.
Speaker.
Yeah, actually,
I think it's a JBL.
yeah, it is, but it's a small
It's
system. It's about half that size.
I used a PD down with a 15-inch speaker.
like a 80 something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I just,
And I think
the reason I
our,
ask it is I think it makes a huge difference. I mean,
that's
whatever
absolutely.
sound through here, I mean, it may be fabulous, but it makes a huge difference. Just the penetration into the space and response.
And the whole thing, it's
The
absolutely.
difference between acoustic and electronic, which was sort of filtering through the question.
And when I was talking to Tom told the story, which was, he went someplace, there was this whole wall of speakers.
Oh, yeah, I was in Canada, and I went into a music store there, because the guy I was doing music with up there, he wanted to get one for the department at the University of Regina, Saskatchewan, so I said, let's go to a music store, I've got some money. So we went there, and there was this way in the back room, into a speaker, just a little bit bigger than that, like that. And I started playing around, and the guy says, oh, you know a little bit about it? I said, yeah, he said, let's put it in the big room. So they had a big room that was sealed, that had speakers the size of a Volkswagen. And I plugged this thing in, and I did, let me see if I can find the sound real quick, because you'll get a really good sense of it, feeling.
It has some deep, it has some very deep sound.
All these are the sound I asked on the question. For those of us
So anyway, I did that on the thing, and everybody's pants lights in the room started. Sorry.
So are you actually telling us the big really is better?
No. Ah, yes.
If you don't know by now, it's too late.
I just want to make sure that I got it clear when a powered speaker is one that you don't need. You just plug into the wall.
You just plug into the wall,
And
and the reason I use the JBL 10-inch loudspeaker, you know, Maggie makes one, there's a lot of different companies making, but they sound really good, very natural sounding, and they're playable, because I have to go to classes. So I put this over my, you know, and it's plenty of sound. I mean, I play in the studio, the one speaker is, and the others, the TV studio is about the same size, maybe a little smaller than this, but it fills up the whole space. But the main thing is, it sounds good. I mean, if you put this through like guitar amp,
That's exactly which is what I was going to say. If I play this through that, it sounds hugely synthetic. And the bigger the better the sound, the speaker or sound system is, the closer it gets to actually sounding much more natural.
So that's why I use a 15-inch, have a 15-inch speaker, because I can get that deep.
But that's true. That's true of all synthesizers.
you got an amplifier. So you got an extra component with the speaker, right?
No, Steve,
No,
some
I
singers
use
have
it.
all that.
let's say a 15-inch speaker would be great for the low end, but you know, in my situation, I'm going from studio to studio, so portability is really important.
Right.
But yeah, if you get a 15-inch powered speaker that you can plug in,
Let me know.
pardon?
A 15-inch powered speaker amp that you can carry with one hand.
He's having the same problem.
JBL makes it good. Pardon? It's a 10-inch speaker, so that's about like this. It weighs probably about
The powered speaker technology has changed completely in the last 5 years, and your question about bigger is better, because they now make 10-inch speakers that can go down to 20.
Really?
It sounds great.
But the problem with the powered speaker is that the amplification is, the amplifier is built into the speaker, so that's more weight. And carrying an amplified speaker is, it's never fun. Just, I truck fun around. I just have a valve.
But when I was playing in New York, I had things strapped on my back.
From an administrative standpoint, as she's not to buy one of these for the institution, it sounds to me like a little person. Can it be shared?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I put these one in one studio and one in the other.
It depends. I mean, there's a caveat. It is a personal instrument, and to really get the most out of this, I found used to playing. So I don't change my technique. Now, various people are using them. If you just lay down presets, that's cool. But really,
And the standard presets are that the lowest sounds are at the bottom, and the higher sounds are.
You got human concerts in the studio.
Right.
But every percussionist that I've got has one or more instruments that's there.
Right. If I was using this to, for example, someone asked me to make a piece, and I was going to use this to make a piece, and I was going to do all these individual settings that you're talking about, I would pick it out of the studio and use it for that. And then when it was done, I either reset the original factory settings, or save somewhere